Hi Flosstube, I'm Chantel with 141 Design Company and welcome to my channel. Today is January 4th, 2023 and this is Flosstube episode 1 of 2023. We're hitting reset on the Flosstube count, so we're going to start today with 1 and go up from here, and in 2024 we'll hit reset again and start all over. So welcome, and I'm glad you're here. Tonight's episode we've got a few new releases, and then we're also going to begin a designer feature segment where we're featuring 2 designers in the first few months of the year, and we're going to dig into some of the charts that they have and how they work with some of the design boards that are in our Etsy shop. Now that we've got some things established, we have a lot more to show and share. The 2 designers we're going to feature in January and probably into February as well are Kathy Haberman of Hands On Design and Lori Holt of Be In My Bonnet Company. Both of these designers, I have a lot of their charts in my stash now, and I've stitched a lot, or I have whips in progress of some of their things. So I thought we'd go ahead and feature them, see if I can't get some of those whips done, and show you some of the ways that we have fully finished them. Now the first thing I'm going to start with though is a new release from our Etsy shop. We have a new house design for you that has different segments to it, and it is a tall farmhouse leaner. The leaner looks like this. I'll start with the one with 1 opening. It has a couple of layers and these cute little feet down here at the bottom, and this single opening farmhouse leaner has a 4 1/4 inch square cut out on the inside. This pattern is from Primrose Cottage. It's one of their stamp series, and it's called Let It Snow. It's done on 14 count beautiful beige. I did back it with some checks. I believe this is from April Rosenthal collection, one of hers. Can't remember the name, but that's one of hers. And I just love the clean classic look of that farmhouse style. There are 3 layers to this. There's a back board, a front layer, and then this roof line, which creates quite a bit of thickness up here for you if you do choose to put a mounter on the back and hang it on the wall. All of our boards, as always, are made from a 1/4 inch maple, which is also finish sanded for you, so it's ready to paint, and you'll receive a nice smooth finish with your paint. I did paint this with a chalk style paint, which was a spray paint, made it very easy, and then I finished it with a lacquer spray top coat. Also with this particular series, we have a single opening, and you guessed it, there's a double. But not only that, we took it one step further and went ahead with the triple. So for the 4 1/4 inch inset size, you have a single, double, and triple leaner that are going to fit some of your small squares perfectly, or even some photos. How precious would that be to add to your collection in your home? That's the first one in the series. The second in our farmhouse style leaners is one with a larger opening in the square size, and this is a 6 inch opening. In this style with the 6 inch opening, we have 2 different sizes. One with 1 hole, and then we have our double leaner. So there are 2 for this one. The double leaner I have fully finished for my daughter Alexis. I'm so excited to share this with her and to give it to her now after I share it with you guys. Oh, here we go. I was looking for the chart to share with you. I talked about this one before. It's a home that I stitched for her, and I put the Schneiders down here on the bottom, which is of course their last name, and it is stitched on 14 count Murky. I stitched this while we were on vacation because it was really kind of an easy stitch. I loved it. Did it in some classic colorworks, so we've got a little variation there. This is the chart. It's a We Welcome from Heart and Hand, and it's an older chart. I picked it up on the free table at a retreat. Loved it. It was so cute, and it was a really good stitch for like travel and vacation. On this house leaner, I put their house down here at the bottom. This is Chelsea's checks in the back with some red rickrack, and then I put a photo. This is just a prototype. She's having one printed for it, This one I pulled off of her Facebook profile, but she really loves this picture. This is Alexis with her family. This is her husband, Jesse, and then these are my grandkids. And that just fit in there perfectly with the cute little bow. You could make these interchangeable. I've gone ahead and just glued this right in. We will pop this out when she gets her other photo. But this little house liner, I love incorporating stitching and our photos together. And I think having the dual opening just adds a lot of possibilities for being able to do that. There is one more size in the series with the house leaners, and that one is a round opening. Let me show you that one. The round opening is a 6-inch diameter as well, so it's the same scale as the square, and it has a single opening and a double. I've painted these all with the same color paint, so it's just in the white and black chalk style paints with the lacquer finish, and then glued them together so they are ready for our samples. In our Etsy shop, you will see photos of these finished. They do not come that way. Obviously, they come unfinished, and then you can paint them and or stain them, even decoupage them in the colors of your choice. Because we do use a let me show you the back of it. Oh no, this one's painted actually. Because we do use maple wood, you could stain these and you're going to see nice grain. You could also simply clear coat them and you'll see a really nice rich grain come out. And see, this is all the natural grain in that wood. I think it's so pretty to see that. So that's the first release that's new for January in our shop now. And then the second is something you may have already seen on my Instagram. This is a board that is a 7.5-inch rounded corner board that I cut so that I could display a new stitch I'm doing from Kathy Haberman, and it's the Well Hello There series. And I started obviously off with January. The buttons are from Just Another Button Company, and you'll see that she's got all of the months in one chart for you to get. You do need to buy the buttons separately, and they are available at Fat Quarter Shop. We did talk to Just Another Button Company today, though, and we will be adding those to our Etsy shop here in the future so that we can put the chart and the buttons together for a set for you. This is a fabulous, I mean, she does have great DMC colors listed in here, but it's also a fabulous chart for using your stash because you can just see what the colors are very easily, and you can go pull from your stash. This was 3 colors in here. So we've got a gray, a blue, and a black. Easy peasy. And that way you could just grab the buttons and use your stash. I did stitch mine on a 16 count Aida, on 32 count linen or Lugana as well. It's going to measure out this way. The reason why I went ahead and did the 16 count called for was so that my buttons from Just Another Button Company would line up the way Kathy has them lined up in the chart and in the tutorial. I have a few packs of the buttons here. I do have all the buttons that are for my series that I picked up. They are so adorable. And on Kathy's blog is, I printed them off so I have them, is the complete instructions for putting this together. Now Kathy will go through and walk through and show you how to do lacing in her instructions. And she also taught me this. Look at this. Oh my gosh, let me show you what this is. So she talks about in her instructions to lay your buttons on and then tape them down with Scotch tape, stitch right through the tape, and then they are all lined up. Mind-blowing. Sometimes the easiest things escape. And you probably all knew that. You're probably all like, yeah, duh. But I didn't know that. So that was some valuable information I learned off of this blog from Kathy Haberman when I fully finished it. Now, I finished mine using a glue gun, but next time I may try the stitching, the lacing, because I really want to give that a try. So that is our second new release. It is a 7.5-inch board with nice rounded corners. And we'll probably be adding some other sizes for this basic as well, so that you've got some great basics. Because I think it's good to have basics in your stash. Everything doesn't always have to be on a design type of thing, it can be clean and classic as well. And I think it's good to have some of those in our wheelhouse so that we've got it. And this design for sure, it lended itself to being that clean classic look. So the board is there, and if you're interested in grabbing it right away, you can get this off of Kathy's blog or Kathy's website. It's just Hands-On Design, or Fat Quarter Shop's website as well. Now, speaking of Fat Quarter Shop, and then we're going to move into a Lori Holt feature segment because I've got some whips, some Lori's whips, some full finishes, and a new release featuring her pieces as well. I'm so excited about this, you guys. The first thing I want to talk about is a previous finish, and then we're going to get into our new release that I had done with Lori's piece. And here it is. I'm missing one of them. There we go. And you've seen this before, but I wanted to talk about the versatility that is inside Lori Holt's charts and some of the display boards that we've used. This is our barn display with this silo backer. I have the tutorial for how I painted this one. You can see it's got this really neat faux finish on there. I walked you through this in a tutorial that is on our YouTube channel here underneath tutorials, so that you've got that showing these details of just how to create just a fun look. Now, the barn is stitched here, and the other one is on our plain barn. Holding both of these up as a challenge. Without the silo. These barns are from Lori's Quilty Barn Mix and Match chart. The chart includes the patterns to make all of these barns, plus these adorable little barn stars inside, so you can stitch it up all like this if you'd like. It also includes these two charts, which is what I chose to do to make these single. Now you can see mine are a little bit different color. So the other thing I did, because I am putting mine out with Christmas, I kind of made mine Christmassy. I had the floss in my stash when I stitched Vintage Christmas. I had all of this Aura floss in my stash left over. So I decided to use the colors from Vintage Country Christmas sampler and stitch these two barns with it. And then since it was Christmassy, these insides, that there's a chicken and goat on there now, are the same size as her stitch card pieces, along with some of her other squares. So I pulled my stitch cards out, and this is from Stitch Card G, and used the wreath and the presents to put inside. So I blended all three of these charts, different elements from these three charts, in order to create my own versions of the Quilty Barn on our 141 barn display board. So I know you've seen them before, but I thought I'd kind of break down again for you exactly what I pulled from where and how these were created, so that I could make them my own, but I also kept them within the Lori Holt palette. I thought that was really fun, and I had a great time doing it. Another thing that was done doing the same idea this last year was using the star from the inside of the flea market baskets stitch. This was a stitch along in 2022 that Fat Quarter Shop did. It is a Lori Holt pattern. I'll show you where I'm at with my whip because I kind of got sidetracked with it and I need to get back to it. I am not very far. I did get that center star done, and then I started going around. So I want to get back to this year and get some more stitching in on this, because it was a stitch along that I was working on with Fat Quarter Shop as well. So I want to get back to that. But the other thing that I did do, and where it kind of, the squirrel that I followed, I suppose, on this, was I really got into that star. Okay, loved that star. And I loved what Kimberly at Fat Quarter Shop did with that star, because she took the star and they stitched it in 10 count in 12 different colorways, and they mounted it on one of our display board barns, and they also mounted it on a house that was found at Target in the dollar spot. Now, I didn't have the Target house, so I cut one. And this is the same scale as that. And this is the barn done on the 10 count fabric. This is our tall house. It is a freestanding house. It does have a second layer up here. And I used denim and decoupaged on the whole back in order to cover that. And then some Lori fabric here and some gingham and some rickrack in there. And then you can see it's all stitched on that 10 count. Nice big puffy stitches. Super cute. But once I stitched it on 10, I also wanted to see what it looked like in 14 count. So I stitched it again. Same colors. These are the called for colors from the flea market basket. And now this is on our short house. So you can see the size difference. I thought it would be fun just to see them together. This little rose came from Hobby Lobby, which I bet it's there again because it was a Valentine's Day thing. And this is 14 count. On this house, I used the Lori Holt paper, scrapbook paper, to decoupage on the back. Some of her rickrack again, and some gingham. And I just put that all together so that they would kind of complement. I did use the Tim Holtz ink pads to do my staining of my maple wood. And I also took it and antiqued around the edge just to give that little bit of something something there. So those are the barn stars in the called for colors on our 141 Design Company houses. Both of those houses are available in our shop. Another thing that as Lori Kimberly, was stitching along this last year, and let me bring this up on the Jolly Jabber blog, there was a Barn Sweet Barn, it's called. So you can just, I will put it in the comments below, or the description box, below. And so you can find it on their Jolly Jabber, but I'll bring it up for you right now so you can see it. There is an entire blog post featuring the star from the center of that flea market. Here it is again. See the star? That's that same barn star. Fat Quarter Shop last year, and you probably already know all this, but I'm just kind of going over. Fat Quarter Shop recolored it so that it was done to represent the different months of the year. So this was actually January's, and you can see it's done there on our barn. That barn is available at Fat Quarter Shop as well, so you can pick it up from them. And down here, they shared all of the DMC color conversions so that you could stitch each barn to represent the different months of the year. Now, through the magic of model stitchers, I like to say that, I had one of them help me out with that. She stitched all 12 so that we could see what they look like together on a brand new display board from 141 Design Company, which is our 12 up display piece. And we were able to feature every one of them all together. I had this in my mind when Kimberly first introduced this last year, that I wanted to see them all together in one fell swoop. And I like seeing them individually as they went throughout the year on each of the houses on the barn, but I kept thinking, isn't it going to be pretty to see it all together? So you can see it starts up here with January. We've got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And each one of them I mounted using the Lori Holt stitch fabric. It's got the little X in it. I changed the colors on a couple. I believe Fat Quarter Shop may have done July in the red. I mixed that one up, and I don't know if I changed another one, but you can see all of them on their Instagram and things too. If you follow the hashtag BarnSweetBarnSal, you'll see all of the different ones. But this is each one of them stitched on 14 count white Aida, mounted on the Lori Holt Stitch Collection colors. And what I did was I bought a layer cake in order to get all of the colors in like a 10, I think that's 10 by 10 size, because I didn't need a yard of it or anything, for heaven's sakes. Just need a little bit to cover each one of these openings. And I'll talk about the scale, the size for that in just a minute. But I just thought I'd show you this. I'll bring it in here so we can go over each month. Well, let's put it down here. You can see the top is the first three, January, February, March. Then we get into some color changes. This was all done in DMC. And I painted the frame black. It is a substantial frame. It's a substantial piece, guys. And I hate to say I'm obsessed with it, but I'm obsessed with it, all right? I'll show you the back. It is also on our 1/4 inch maple. There are 2 layers, so this is heavy duty. You can put it on a shelf if you want to lean it, but this is also thick enough up here at the top because you've got double layers that you could put a hanger in up here. You just want to make sure you've got tiny little nails. You don't want to pop through your front, or even use maybe a command strip to hang that up. But this can go on your wall either this direction, or you can hang it horizontally as well. I kind of liked the color scheme this way. And let me show it to you unfinished. It is available in our Etsy shop now. It will be shipping towards the end of the month because we're in production with it. So it will take a few weeks to ship this out, but you can order it now. The square sizes in each one of these, there's obviously 12, and they are 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. That's actually, they're a little bit bigger than that. Let me explain. I was talking to Brian about the scale of these because Brian scaled this all out for us so that we'd have it just right. All right. And it made it easy for finishing. So this is designed for us for finishing cross stitch on, or you can even put photos in it. All right. But each one of these squares is a 1/16 inch larger than your 4.5 inch sticky board. So you'll want to cut each one of your press-on boards to 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And then once you have your fabric, he bumped it out some so that it's going to fit in there perfectly. Instead of having to cut it down, we can just do 4.5 by 4.5. And he made sure that our squares were going to have that perfect, precise fit so that we get a nice crisp look. This piece is going to be phenomenal for all of those monthly stitches. It also fits Kathy's Year of Celebration 1 and 2. So we're working on stitching Year of Celebration 2 in the colors that Kimberly is using so that we can get that mounted up and show that to you too and see all 12 months at one time. And I'm just really excited about this. I also have all those, remember Lizzie Kate's? So I've got those to put on here too. And I'm anxious to see how that turns out. But let me show you the stars one more time. And like I said, the star came from that flea market basket chart. So much versatility within that. And Kimberly's color conversions. And then we just put it together all in one design so we can enjoy every one of them in one place. I am thrilled with how that turned out. And I'm going to display this in my office here at 141. So I'm really excited about that one. Another new release that's on the way because there's the Chicken Club coming, and I did join that so that I have the Chicken Club. I don't have the charts yet, at least I don't have the charts, but I found a design that I wanted to use for my Chicken Club. All right, I did get this floss in, so I ordered the DMC floss. This comes from Fat Quarter Shop. It is the complete floss collection, and this is what the chickens, so far the first chicken that we've seen, this is what the chicken looks like, and it has this space around it for some of Lori's fabric, and I love the rickrack that's going on there. So I made a board. I went old school, really folk arty into the 80s, and got this shingle style with the cute little scallop bottom so the chicken can go right inside. Isn't that cute? So it's still in production, and I'm waiting for my chicken to get here so I can get him stitched and get it, scaled and colored and painted and all of that. So we'll get this into the shop, and if you like it for your chickens too, you can get one of these boards. I left let me take these off because there's 3 pieces to it. I did do holes in the top, which I think I'm going to make them a little smaller because my concept for these is I want to do the little curlicue wire hanger. You know how you twist the wire and then you have a little curlicue in the front, remember? I don't know. I think it's so 80s to me. It's funny. And then I love the little scallop at the bottom. These strips, I didn't score lines for where they go, but you can measure out and put them on your board. You're going to glue them, paint them, and then glue them right on the top. That way you can define the area that you want for your stitch inside there. So I will scale these so that it will fit that 8 by 8 inch size, because it is 8 wide, and then come in 8. So I've got a square there in the middle, and then I've got space up here for bows and fun and other paint and folk arty speckles and fun things like that. And then the chicken can go in the middle. So we'll see how that progresses. Be looking for more about the Chicken Club later. Now I want to share some of my whips that I have from Lori's pieces, because these are things too I'd like to see some more work done on them and get finished. I showed you the whip I've got going on with flea market baskets. I do have some other finishes that will be coming up later in the month from Lori's patterns, but these are a few other whips that I have. One of them is the Granny Squares. The Granny Square Stitch Along was a free chart from Lori this last year. You'll find this at Fat Quarter Shop. And I did do a Granny Square in the back. You can see there, that one's finished. But this is a whip that I have going on right now that's just like a big chunk of Ada that I started just stitching Granny Squares. And I think I'm going to stop here and then make that into a pillow with some cute edging around it. I might even do a border around, but I only have a few spots left on the inside. This was it's very fun. You memorize the stitch and the pattern as you go. And I did grab colors from the other charts. So for instance, the stash I had from Flea Market Baskets, that's the colors that I used inside here. And I just mixed and matched them as I went. So that's something I want to finish up and see if maybe we'll make it in a pillow or something. Another one that I had going on this last year was Flea Market Flowers. This one has thrown me because I've got it started on the pine board fabric flare, and I might want to finish. I might want to move it to a Lugana, or even stitch it on linen. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I have a Flea Market fabric crazy quilt in the works for my bedroom right now, and that's also something we're going to get working on this month. And I liked this for my room because I felt like it was going to coordinate very nicely with that. This is how far I am. I totally stalled out on it. You're going to see here. I've got that flower, that first row, right? Got the rest of it still here going on. Now, I have to make a decision. Do I continue doing it on this board, or do I move it to a different fabric? Because I've kind of moved to different fabrics that I'm stitching. But I don't want to just waste this. So I think I will stitch out the rest of this. And then maybe I'll make cut a paddle that we can just put that on just one paddle. And then hang it in a skinny corner area and fully finish this portion out and hang it on a long paddle. I thought that will be kind of sweet. So I may do that. We'll see how that turns out. But it's a current whip that I have right now. I guess this is a full finish. I missed showing you, but a few years back, one of the first ones I also did was Eat, Sleep, Stitch, Repeat. This is also a Lori Holt pattern, and I stitched that a couple different times. I used 14 count Ada and Classic Colorworks I just pulled from my stash, and then I made it into this adorable little bag just for some floss or whatnots that I take for retreats. I did just the patchwork from Lori's fabrics on the front, and then patchwork the front of it, or on the back, and then patchwork the front of it. And I made a little separate one. This doesn't have any stitching on it, but another one, so that I just had two for just, on the go stitching. So that's, I guess, a finished one. Another whip that I have is You're the Boss. Okay, so You're the Boss. I did start stitching Lugana when I started this one. It was more of a practice one than anything else, but I do feel like I want to go ahead and finish this one out. I was kind of practicing with Lugana as I was working, switching from Ada into Lugana in my progress. And I've got this first top row done. The reason why I chose this chart to begin practicing was because it was a very, was easy for me to count over to the next square. There wasn't a lot of traveling and space to count in between. So I thought that would be a good one as a practice. And it really was. It really did help me get comfortable with stitching on Lugana from Ada. And I got this far. So I'm now to the second row of where you're the boss of your own quilt. I quilt a little bit, but I'm not really a boss of my quilt. So I'm thinking I'm going to change this center part out and either take some of the alphabet from the free chart that's available from Lori on Fat Quarter Shop 2 and switch some words out and put a different saying in. Or I might just take a couple more of these stars and just move the colors around a little bit and then stitch 3 more stars in there. So it's just a solid star finish. But that's where I'm at. And it's on, I believe it's 28 count Lugana. Maybe 25. I think 28. And the next and last one I'm going to show you is literally my oldest whip. Okay, which isn't that old, but it's my oldest because it's from 2020, and that's when I started in on all this. I did start with Lori Holt, so that's why I thought I'd start this year out with her too. I started stitching the Vintage Christmas, and then I moved on to the Happy Camper, and then I moved on to Sew by Row. Sew by Row, I did on a 14 count Ada as well, and as you can see, I didn't measure very well because I don't have much of a border. This is how far I am with Sew by Row. And you can see, look how tight I am over here on each side. But I've got a lot of that done. So I think it's not really white. It's kind of is it called Rustico, maybe? But I used all of the called for Weeks Dye Works colors in my Sew by Row. I do need to do a lot of back stitching up in here, finish out the little bits inside the sewing machine and the needle. Then the iron has the irons have some back stitching. I'm not sure about those. The spools are okay. Oh, then there's the stitching that goes in between each line, and then finishing out these little fat quarter stacks at the bottom. And that will be done. So I need to get after this. Oh, no, I lied. There's scissors at the top. I never did the scissors. So I've got to do the scissors as well. Oh, excuse me. So I got to get those scissors in there. So not as far as I thought, but I'm not that far from being done. And I got to do it. I just got to do it because it is cute and it will be good. It'll feel good to have it finished. And it's really pretty in these Weeks Dye Works colors. Plus I got a lot of Weeks floss I didn't remember I had. So that's kind of fun. Originally I put them all in Flosstube bags, which I like this system of storing floss too. I'm using this system for storing some of the silk that I'm buying. I'm putting them in the bags. So that is my oldest whip, and like I said, I want to get going on that. So I figured we'll feature Lori and Hands-On Design. So Kathy and Lori will be our features for the first few months, and that way we can kind of double down on some of the designs that are in my stash and get those done and get them fully finished onto some of our display boards so we can see how those work out and just keep going from there. Then as the year goes on, we'll continue to feature more and more designers. We've got a whole gambit out there. And if there's one that's your favorite, go ahead and leave your favorite designer in the comments below so that I can be sure to look into their charts as well. I've been collecting quite a bit, so I've got a pretty good stash going of charts, and I just may have that chart, and we can maybe get that finished and get it onto a board. So share in the comments below, what is your favorite designer, and what stitch would you like to see us fully finish here at 141 Design Company? I look forward to hearing from you there. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me here in the first Flosstube of 2023, and I look forward to seeing you in many more, along with tutorials and Facebook Live, or Flosstube Live, which I do on Fridays at 2 o'clock, we'll do some Facebook as well, and that will be in the Chantel's 141 Facebook group. So if you aren't in that group, go ahead and join us there. And if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Chantel's 141, and our other Facebook page is Chantel Daimling at 141 Design Company on Facebook. Thanks so much for joining me tonight, and I will see you in the future. Bye.